You want to know the truth? Look in the mirror. I'm not talking about the one in the bathroom. I'm talking about the one life puts in front of you every single fucking day. Your relationships, your results, your body, your bank account, your peace, or lack thereof it. They're not random. They're not separate. They're not unfair. They're reflections of you, of your patterns, of your alignment or your avoidance. As above, so below. As within, so without. As the soul, so the story. The world you live in is not happening to you, it's responding through you. This is not some poetry I'm reciting here. This is universal law. The principle of correspondence is the hermetic blueprint that governs how your internal world creates your external reality. But most men will never learn this. They'll never take the time to pick up the book or research it. They'll never wake up to it. And they'll continue to blame the outside world. They will fight that mirror. But see the man who chooses to be an awakened savage. He studies the reflection, then he sharpens the man creating it. Right? This isn't just philosophy, this is spiritual structure. And in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how to apply this in your life. Because, see me, I was the biggest victim in the whole wide world. I used to think everything was happening to me. Poor me, poor me. That I was cursed. That I'd been handed the wrong cards. That maybe I was just broken deep down and I was pretending to be okay. I'd look around and there was just fucking chaos everywhere. Addiction, wrecked relationships, debt, bankruptcy, prison, a body that was breaking down from the inside out, paralysis. My mind was just fucking gone, foggy. My energy was shot. And I would just ask myself, why me? Why does everything feel so shit? Why is life so shit? Poor me. Right? Why does everything keep happening to me? But back then, I had no idea about universal law. I had no idea about the Kabbalion. Right? I didn't know what I was experiencing on the outside was just a reflection of what I hadn't faced inside. And I thought the problem was the world. But the world was just showing me a reflection of myself. And when I had my spiritual awakening and I started to dive deep into spirituality, I came across a book called The Kabbalion. In fact, I still read it daily right now. And yeah, I heard things like as above, so below, as within, so without. And at first I didn't understand what they meant, but the more I went deeper into it and tried to understand it, I saw that everything that I hated out there was mirroring the chaos I was carrying in here. Right, so see the disconnection from my body mirrored the disconnection from my soul. And the constant friction in my relationships reflected the war I was fighting inside against myself. And the inconsistency in business and work and money and focus, they all tied to an identity that I was desperately clinging on to. And that identity was built on survival, not on truth, not on alignment. And that's when the first time I stopped blaming everything and everybody else. And I started observing. I started paying attention to my patterns, right? The results, the energy. And instead of asking, why is this happening to me, poor me? Then I started to ask, what part of this is being reflected to me right now? What part of me is being reflected to me right now? And this is when things would started to take a shift. And this is when I stopped being a victim of life and started becoming the creator of it. And don't get me wrong, I'm still on this journey right now and I'm still learning every single day. Okay, because it never happened instantly. I didn't just meditate my way into a new way of being. I had to start from the ground up. I rebuilt it daily. And that was through structure, through reflection, through brutal honesty of where I was fucking up in life. And see, right now, I don't avoid the mirror. I study it because every reflection is feedback from the field, not judgment. It's an invitation. So if you want to change what's going on out there, start by owning what's happening in here. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, right, the Kabbalion is a book and it's the Hermetic Principles, and I would study that if I was you, right? Because the Kabbalion teaches that reality is layered. You've got the physical, the mental, and the spiritual. But these layers are not separate. They are reflections of one another. The macrocosm, which is the universe, is reflected in the microcosm, which is you. So as above, so below. As below, so above. So what's happening in the cosmos is mirrored in ourselves. What happens in our emotions affects our body. What happens in our inner world is echoed in our circumstances. Right? And the Hermeticists believe that by studying one plane, we can understand them all. This means by healing your body, you can heal your soul. By understanding your emotions, you influence your external life. By shifting your beliefs, you then change your biology. Because your life is a mirror. But most men don't know how to read it. Right? Because psychologically, your external world is just a projection of your internal conditioning, your beliefs, your emotional patterns, your trauma responses, your self-worth. They're not staying inside you, they're building your entire life. This isn't just some, personal development fluff. This is how identity works. Your subconscious mind is scanning the world 24/7 and it's filtering out anything that doesn't match your internal program. You think you're seeing reality, you're not. You're seeing confirmation of your assumptions. It's called your reticular activating system. And it shows you what you believe is true and hides everything that contradicts it. So if you believe the world is hard, unsafe, or that success is out of your reach, that money is hard to earn, your brain will literally ignore opportunities to prove otherwise. Right? It will seek struggle. It will find conflict. It will sabotage peace because peace doesn't match your pattern. That's why changing your mindset is not enough. You have to reprogram the source code, and that's your self-concept. Right? Your results are never lying. They're just revealing what you haven't dealt with yet. If you want different outcomes, you have to create a different internal standard. Right? Because your brain is wired to mirror the world that you expect. Right? Your brain runs on neural pathways, right? Electrical patterns built from repeated thoughts, emotions, behaviors. And every time you repeat a thought, especially one tied to a strong emotion, you then strengthen that circuit. And over time, this becomes your default mode network. And that network doesn't just guide behavior, it predicts your reality. And Joe Dispenza's research proves this. Your brain isn't just a record of the past, it's a map for the future. Unless you consciously intervene, your brain will recreate the same life over and over and over again until you start consciously making different choices. But when you disrupt that pattern through focused intention, elevated emotion, and aligned action, you create neuroplasticity. You start to reshape the brain. You shift your frequency. You attract and recognize new opportunities that match that new internal map. Okay? And flow science backs this up. Right? You don't enter flow through chaos. You enter it through alignment, having clear goals, being fully present in the moment, challenge matched with skill, right? Structure that demands focus. Okay? Because when your internal state is dialed in, your body, your brain, and your energy, they sync. Okay? Reality bends to meet you. You're not fighting life. You're riding it like a fucking roller coaster. Okay? And if you do look at the spiritual side of it, right, as within, so without, right, you are already creating reality. But you have to ask yourself, from what level am I creating it from? Am I unconsciously just letting life happen to me, or am I consciously making choices that's going to guide my future? And the principle of correspondence, it teaches us a very simple truth. The outer is always reflecting the inner. Everything in your world is symbolic. Nothing is random. Everything has meaning. But you have to be awake enough to see it. Right? You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. Right? And what you are is determined by what you embody, not what you say or affirm, not what you post online, not what you wish was true. Right? Hermetic teachings make it clear. The world of form is a mirror of the world of mind. Right? The physical reflects the metaphysical. Energy precedes matter. Beliefs precede creation. So when your life feels shit and heavy and hard, don't fight the mirror. Study it and ask, what pattern is this showing me? Where am I still living from fear, from control, from limitation? What belief is shaping this very moment? This is spiritual sovereignty. And don't just react to reality. You read it, you respond with clarity, and you recode it. Because you know the source is you, and your reaction to the mirror reveals your discipline or your lack of it. And the Stoicists, they knew all about this. Right? In Stoicism, it isn't about numbing out, it's about owning what you can control. And there's no greater control than how you interpret your experience. As Marcus Aurelius says, you have power over mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Right? The Stoics weren't just saying don't feel, they were saying feel fully, but master the meaning, because meaning creates momentum. A man who blames the external, he's a fucking slave to it. And a man who reads the reflection, he is in command. Right, so here's the test. Can you look at your results without fucking flinching? Can you observe your patterns without trying to justify them? Can you hold the mirror without turning away? That's stoic practice in real time. You don't need to fix everything. You need to become the kind of man who no longer creates from the chaos around him. The mirror is not your enemy, it's your greatest teacher. Right? And so psychologically, we know that your world reflects your programming. And scientifically, your focus wires your future. Spiritually, your reality mirrors your embodiment. And stoically, your reaction reveals your level of self-mastery. Right? This is not just some theory from a book. This is law, universal law. And your life is already proving it. Okay, so let's get very crystal clear on this. You are not a victim of circumstance. You're the reflection of your own structure or your own avoidance. Right? You're no longer the man who looks at his life and says, why is this happening to me? You're the man who stands in front of every situation and asks, what's this showing me about who I've been and who I must become? That is the shift. Right? You're no longer the man who fears the mirror. You're the man who studies it, then rebuilds from it. And you're no longer the man who blames the economy, timing, the president, the algorithm, the partner, the past. You're the man who owns the pattern behind every single fucking result and then rewrites it at its source. Right? You no longer just read books and talk about the laws, you live them. You embody mentalism. Right? You understand that everything begins in the mind. You embody correspondence. You treat every result as feedback. Right? You embody cause and effect. You create deliberately, not emotionally. Then you embody rhythm and polarity. You ride the waves, but you don't get swallowed by them. Right? You're not performing success anymore. You're aligning with the laws that govern all creation. Right? You don't chase purpose. You become the man who naturally expresses it through alignment. You don't force manifestation. You clear the inner fucking distortion that's blocking it. You don't fake calm. You build the structure that makes peace your natural state. This is Hermetic Stoicism in full action. Right? This is not just spiritual language, not just philosophy. This is a code that you can live by every single fucking day. You are the cause. You are the mirror. You are the man rebuilt from the inside out. Okay, and let's put all of this, let's execute it. Right? Let's look at a battle plan. Okay? Let's go for it. Number one, right? Let's have the morning mirror practice. This is when you lock in inner alignment before the world starts causing chaos in your life. And why does it matter? Because most men just roll out of bed and get pulled straight into other people's energy, fucking scrolling on Facebook, emails, problems, social media noise. By the time they've noticed how they're feeling, they're already lost in reaction. Right? When you do this ritual, it resets the power dynamic. You start the day as a creator, not the effect. Okay, so what do we do here? Right, we get up, stand in front of the mirror, first thing. Right? No distractions, nothing. Right? Breathe slowly, 4 seconds in and 4 seconds out. Right? Be still for 60 seconds. Lock eyes with yourself and ask out loud, what is my life reflecting back to me right now? Right? What am I avoiding that's still running the show? Okay, because, for example, right, you wake up, you're low on energy, right? You've been snapping at the kids for the past couple of days. You've skipped the gym for 3 days in a row, right? Business feels shitty and stalled, right? You're feeling frustrated. But deep down, you know something's off, right? So you go into the mirror, you lock eyes with yourself, right? You breathe in, still for 60 seconds, right? And you ask out loud, what's life reflecting back to me right now? You pause. You see the tiredness in your eyes. You remember you were scrolling late last night, avoiding hard conversations. So you feel that tension in your gut, right? Then the answer hits you. My life is showing me the cost of being inconsistent. It's showing me what happens when I don't follow through. It's showing me that I've been acting like a man without structure. So I'm living with scattered results. And then you ask yourself, what am I avoiding that's still running the show? And the truth surfaces. I've been avoiding sitting with my own discomfort. I've been numbing out instead of facing. I'm still afraid of failing, so I keep half committing and calling it flow. And you just stand in that truth. No shame, no excuses, just fucking ownership. And then you say, today I lead from clarity. Today I follow through. I am not here to react. I am here to create. And then you walk out of that mirror moment, you're fucking spine straight, breathing deeper, and your identity realigned. If you commit to that 7 days minimum, I promise you, this will impact your life in a way that you never believed. Right? And why does it work? Because eye contact plus intention plus language equals nervous system recalibration. This sets your frequency for the rest of the day. Okay, number 2, correspondence check-in. Right? This is real-time pattern breaking. Right? Make invisible patterns visible as they happen in real time. Okay, why does this matter? Because most men don't recognize they're in a pattern until the damage is fucking done and there's no coming back. Right? This check-in is your mental spotter. Right? So you can respond instead of react. Every time you feel agitated, triggered, or heavy, pause and ask yourself, what part of me is this situation reflecting? Is this person mirroring my control issues? Is this financial stress echoing my lack of structure? Is this argument showing me where I still need external validation? Right? Then am I being the man I decided to be, or am I defaulting to the man I used to be? Just breathe. Just note the insight, right? In a journal, voice note, or just even mentally. Right? For example, right, you find yourself angry at your partner for being too emotional. Right? So you pause and you reflect, and then you have the realization you've been emotionally shut down for 3 days and you haven't expressed your own truth. Right? So the mirror, her emotion is reflecting what you're avoiding. So your response is take ownership, open up, and communicate from your grounded identity. This is next level awareness. You stop fighting the world and you start reading it. Okay, number 3, evening law review. Right, the purpose is to recalibrate daily. Lock in lessons before you go to sleep so your nervous system resets with intention. Right, because most men go to sleep with unresolved energy and unconscious guilt. This practice gives you the clean slate your system needs to rest, integrate, and reset. Right, so at the end of the night, just sit in silence 5-10 minutes, just reflect on your day. Ask yourself, where did I live in alignment with the man I'm becoming? Right? Where did I react from the old identity, fear, or emotion? Right? Just briefly journal your answers, but make sure they're clear, brief and clear. Right? And then just set one refinement for tomorrow. Tomorrow, when I feel frustrated, I'll pause and respond instead of snapping. I'll treat my body with respect, not as a dumping ground for stress. Okay? And number 4, this is where we do a weekly reality audit. Okay? Step back from the daily grind and evaluate your entire life through the lens of correspondence. This is where men reconnect with our truth. See, without reflection, patterns stay hidden. So I would do this on a Sunday like I do it. Okay? So you create a 4-column piece of paper, spreadsheet, whatever you want to do it. Right? The areas fitness, family, fulfillment, and finances. Okay? So, what's being reflected? Maybe your fitness, right? Feeling flat and undisciplined. What's that showing me? I've been reactive with food, skipping routines. Okay? What needs to shift inside? Reinstate my morning ritual, right? Or my morning training, prepare my meals in advance. Right? Family. Okay? What's being reflected here? Emotional distance with my partner. What's that showing me? I've been emotionally unavailable. Okay, what needs to shift inside? schedule connection time so we can sit down, open up, spend quality time together. Okay? Fulfillment, right? Feeling disconnected from my purpose. Right? That's what's been reflected. What's that showing me? I haven't created anything this week, or I haven't spent any time working towards my purpose. What needs to shift? Schedule 2 hours of solo creative time just to focus on my purpose. Okay? And finances, inconsistent cash flow, right? That's been reflected to me. Right? What's that showing me? Still scared to fully commit to my purpose or my business. Right? What needs to shift? Set clear budgets and show up regardless. Okay? And see at the end of that, just circle the area with the biggest reflection. Then define one aligned action to execute the following week. Right? This makes growth non-random. You don't evolve by accident, you evolve by structure. Right? And the last one, which is just a more of a spiritual intuitive practice, this strengthens your ability to interpret life's symbolic symbols or symbolic symbols, right? Because reality speaks through symbols. And see, the awakened man, he knows how to decode what others ignore, right? So what to do? Okay, so do that daily. Any point in the day you notice something that's repeating, maybe it's a number 444, 144, 333, right? A symbol, snake, hawk, right? Whatever. A phrase that keeps going on, or a word that keeps going on, an emotion that keeps resurfacing. Just ask yourself, what does that mean to me? Right? What does that mean to me? And then just intuitively write it. What is this symbol inviting me to embody or release? Right? For example, you keep hearing the word discipline in songs, podcasts, conversations. You've been avoiding your routine. Right? Life is reflecting your internal knowing back to you. Right? Write down the insight and take one micro action that aligns with the message. Right? Because remember, you're always creating, whether you're consciously doing it or unconsciously. Right? You're shaping your world. Right? This battle plan isn't about controlling the outside. It's about commanding the inside so that the world starts responding to the real you. Right? Don't try and do everything at once. Pick one, master it, then stack the next. Right? Stack the next. Right? Structure breeds clarity, and clarity breeds momentum. Momentum breeds transformation. Okay? And just before we finish there, I just want to slow things down, take it a bit deeper, right? Because see, once you understand the principle of correspondence, you start seeing it everywhere. In your body, your relationships, nature, the cosmos, everywhere. The law is written to everything. Right? Just look at the trees and the roots. A tree doesn't grow strong because of the sunlight. It grows strong because of what's happening underneath the surface, the roots that you don't see. That's where the real power is. Your life is no different, right? What people see, your habits, your relationship, your outcome, that's a canopy. But it's all being fed by your inner world, your beliefs, your trauma patterns, your self-talk, your nervous system. So if you want stronger results, don't just clip the branches, heal the roots. Okay? Because, and even if you look at the biology of correspondence, right? Your biography becomes your biology. That's what Gabor said. Right? What you feel and believe doesn't just stay in your head. It becomes chemical, becomes hormonal, it becomes cellular. When you carry unprocessed grief, trauma, guilt, or rage, you carry it in your gut, your joints, your skin, your immune system. Right? Doctors like Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton, Louise Hay, they have all shown us your body is not just flesh, it's a messenger. Your inflammation, your fatigue, your anxiety, that isn't just physical, it's your system screaming for alignment. When you see the pattern and heal the pattern, the body follows. Okay? You don't need to manifest harder. You don't need more information. You don't need another guru telling you to raise your vibration. You need to own your reflection. The way life is showing up for you right now, that's not a punishment. That's a report card. Not from the universe, from you. Your habits, your thoughts, your beliefs, your structure, or lack of it. That's what's being reflected. And the moment you stop blaming the mirror and start sharpening the man staring back at it, everything changes. Right? You don't shift your life by force. You shift it by alignment. You shift it by living in accordance with law. As within, so without. As above, so below. So if life feels off, don't look out there. Look in here. That's where the real power is. Right? Now, you've got a battle plan that you can use. Right? And just drop me a comment. Okay? This is for you, not for me. I face the mirror. I own my reflection. Okay, this is the moment you stop hiding. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, join me on this mission. I'm looking to create a brotherhood of structured men who are living their truth. Right, and share it with some man who needs some inspiration today. Because not everyone is ready. But the ones who are, this message will hit home. Because none of us are broken. None of us are behind. And none of us are lost. Right, we're just now starting to see the truth. And the truth is what sets men free. And as always, I truly love you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for being on this journey with me. I cannot express how much it means to me. I will catch you on the next one. Another video here, and you can subscribe here. Take care.